This is where the fun begins.
Yes, hell yes. Mr. Red Gaze, I'm a big fan. I've been watching all your videos. It's an honor to share tonight with the Gaze community.
Hello and welcome. Today, I want to take a look at one of my favorite role-playing games of all time, that is tabletop role-playing games. Not these video games that everybody's obsessing over, no. Old school, tabletop, good stuff. And this one is Star Wars, the role-playing game. More specifically, Star Wars Revised and Expanded 2nd Edition by West End Games. Now, this is one of the very first role-playing games I got into, I was exposed to, after Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition, so I might be dating myself a little bit there. But, yeah, definitely one of my all-time favorites. The mechanics are great. They especially serve the storytelling aspect of the game. Now, this game uses all 6-sided dice to perform your actions, actions of any kind, be they, combat, diplomacy, gambling, all those kinds of actions. If you've ever played a tabletop role-playing game, you know what I'm talking about. But you get a pool of dice, and as you grow and gain experience, you can add dice to each of your pools. You can improve your characters. They essentially level up one skill at a time. Now, this game came with a whole slew of material, just reference material, gaming material, all kinds of story fluff. There were books upon books upon books created for this system, including many different source books from different eras, from the expanded universe, from the movie trilogy. When this game was created, there was only the original Star Wars trilogy at the time. But, a lot of people don't know that much of the source material for the expanded universe, for the novels, for the comics, etc., a lot of that really began with this role-playing game from West End Games. Many things were created here to provide material for the game, and that material was picked through and used as a source for future stories in Star Wars. Now, one of my very, very favorite parts of this particular role-playing game is the adventure journals. These things were just awesome. They came out periodically, and contained within were multiple stories. They had pre-made adventures with stats already planned out and ready to use. Timothy Zahn actually contributed to a lot of these with the short stories, and they were just an awesome part of an already awesome game. You could sit down with an adventure journal all day long, and be entertained. You'd have all kinds of different short stories at your fingertips. You can get game ideas. Even if you didn't want to use the pre-planned adventures, you could pull certain stats, even equipment. All kinds of different and new things to add to your game. They had character profiles and just a ton of information. I can recall finishing up the adventure journal, I'd just gotten, and then waiting with bated breath for the next one to arrive on the shelves. These things were amazing. I don't personally even know how many of these were created, but I'm telling you, this system is so packed with information, with fluff, with statistics, equipment. There's just so much to get from this game. Even if you're not interested in role-playing games, just the stories alone and the ideas that you can get from reading this material is amazing. There's a whole, not even just a whole world, a whole galaxy, a whole galaxy of information packed into these books, these supplements, and just the game itself is, it's amazing. It's just one of the best role-playing games I've ever played in my life, with some of the most in-depth information and compelling stories attached to it. Now, this game is not without its faults, without its flaws. No game is. There's been complaints that the Jedi characters or Force users in general are able to become much more powerful than the other characters, and that is in fact true. However, what I've done in the past to solve this is house rules. House rules is something at at your fingertips. It's at your disposal. It's something that a lot of people forget. If you don't like a rule in a game, you just you don't have to use it, or you can tweak them to your liking. That's a lot of times people just want to play by the rules. And of course, yeah, you need to follow at least the basic guidelines of the mechanics for the system. But there's no saying, that you can't make rules of your own or tweak existing rules to make your game a little more balanced, or to make it be a little bit more of what you want it to be. I remember back in the day, man, I would spend hours upon hours just crafting house rules to make the game better. And I think that's become a lost art. Too many people are just, they want the total package, and they don't want to have to do anything to change that, or to, customize the game exactly the way that they want it or need it to be. And, I would say role-playing games, or role players, I should say, in general these days, are very, very spoiled. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Very spoiled. A lot of systems have catered to them and their wants and their whims, and the games come completely play tested, and they've already been analyzed and overanalyzed to the point of ridiculousness. So a lot of people now don't want to put a lot of work into their hobbies, but that's you're missing the point, I think. And the point is that the hobbies exist to give you something to do, not necessarily just when you're playing the game, but in your free time as well. I always got a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun times creating maps, tweaking house rules, just making up my own statistics, and my own starships, my own alien species for Star Wars. And you just get, I got a lot out of that. And that's something I don't see these days, is people putting in effort, or at least a lot of people doing it, to make their games better. They just want to open up the book, follow the rules. It's like a board game. These aren't board games, people. These are not board games. These are very immersive, interactive role-playing games, and they should be treated as such. But I'll stop with the lecture there. Sorry about that. Star Wars, the role-playing game, revised and expanded, 2nd edition. Absolutely one of my favorite role-playing games of all time. If you have not played this, if you've not experienced it, I would encourage you to do so. I'm going to throw a link in the description to a website where you can access a lot of this, the information for this particular game, as you can't really, it's difficult to find anymore, especially at affordable prices. If you don't know, West End Games has been bought, and I believe bought again. They've tweaked their system a bit, and it is open source now. So, a lot of this is really available to find on the internet, as well as their general system, their generic systems as well. But yeah, go ahead and check that out. But this is where it's at. I've seen several iterations of the West End Games mechanics system, and this one is by far my favorite. It has scaling to make things perfect. And just the dynamic of the way the D6s work, with the wild die causing chaos and whatnot. Yeah, absolutely check it out. Check out that link in the description below, and I hope you enjoy. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.